I want to start talking about a little bit of social issues. I want to know your view on animal testing in labs.
I don't believe animal testing is okay. I find it's really cruel. I feel like there's other ways we can do it. Technology has advanced so much that we can test it other ways besides testing on live animals. So.
Well, what I see that's difficult about that is animals is the closest thing we could get to humans. And if we start testing things on, what else are you going to use? Plants? It doesn't work. It's not going to show you the real effects that would happen on the humans. Now, using testing on things like chimpanzees, they're our closest relative, so most of the effects that happen to them will happen to us too. That's the most efficient way to know this. You can't go around that.
I feel like you can though, because you can see with lab testing
Right.
how things react in certain situations, and with certain, let's say you're testing a new pill for cholesterol.
Right.
You can test how it works in the bloodstream
Okay.
with artificial, because they do make artificial bloods
Right.
and things like that, to test how it would perhaps thin blood, take bad things out of the blood. There's so many new advances in technology that you don't need to use a live animal if you have other options.
Right.
So.
But at the same time, you need to see how everything will react when it's going into a living organism. You can't just use the artificials and keep them all separated in separate running tests. You got to have everything ready to go, and you have to know the long-term effects of how it affects an actual living thing.
But same thing, you can use the artificial things and new technology instead of the live animals, because they can go for long periods of time, and instead of putting live animals at risk, why would you want to do that?
How much is this going to cost using all the artificial and the new technologies?
It all depends on what you're trying to do, honestly.
It could get very costly doing this. Whereas if you use something like a chimpanzee, you could be looking at a couple $100. Whereas if you use all the new technology, you could be looking at a couple $100,000. That's a giant price difference.
How did you get these numbers?
You just kind of think about it, where it comes from. It's like a live animal, you get them from captivity, and you breed them, and then you could sell them off to the laboratories.
Okay, I want to move on to the next question, which is similar. Animal cruelty and food process industry. What are your plans for that?
Well, I think the way how the food processing industry works is they basically breed them for max efficiency. So you throw as many animals as you can into one confined area, and then you send them to the butcher house where they really don't get to experience quote-unquote life. Now it is an issue. What we should do is regulate the size of the amount of capacity of where you can send the animals. So if you make it a bigger pen for, let's say, 5 cows, instead of putting 20 cows in there, you got 5. So they have more room to prosper, and they have more of, let's just say, quote-unquote freedom.
Well, I think a lot of the problems today are a lot of preservatives being used in the feeding of the animals, as well as the confinement of the animals. But with the preservatives and other things to kind of bulk up the meats, that shouldn't be used as much, because I feel like there's not a lot of testing and not enough testing before it's being sold and sent to the butchers, because we don't want diseases in our people to cause more issues. So not so many preservatives, keep it more natural, more space for each of them, so that they can, like you said, live. But we want to definitely cut down the preservatives and artificial things being put into their bodies, because it goes into their bodies, which goes into our bodies, and we don't want any bad things in our bodies. So it just goes through a chain.
All right. There is a huge difference between gay marriage rights and gay rights. What are your opinions on both?
I personally see it as almost the same thing. Although marriage, they should have their full rights as people, as well as be able to get married. because if you love someone, why not marry them? What is the issue with that? You want to try to keep everything separated with your church and your state. So with this, you want to let them, do what they want to do. If you don't want to marry someone of the same gender, don't do it. Let other people be happy. You have to just let people do what they want to do. They're not getting in your way, because with this, it's just causing more issues, and you want to keep those issues out.
You just contradicted yourself.
I did not.
You're talking about state and religion being separate, but you're talking about the state allowing all these marriages to happen. Whereas this goes against all the religions that are preset in America, such as being Catholicism, Catholic, Christian, Buddhist, all that stuff. It goes against the religions that only a man and a woman can be married.
That is their religion.
Right.
But if it is your own personal choice, you should be able to do it. Because you may be one thing and I may be the other. Why should I try to make, this may sound bad, but why would I try to make you happy when it's my happiness?
Right. But again, that's combining state and religion. That's basically saying we're taking your power as religion and we're giving it to the state where they can decide what goes and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, this is more of a personal one. Do you think competence is more important than honesty in a president? Why or why not?
I believe honesty. You can't be honest, then you have to be honest, but if there's problems and you're worried, you can't let that show. You can't be worried. You have to know your way out. You need to, you have to be understanding and have to be honest with what's going on. But then again, you can't let the people get overreacting about things or get scared about things.
I'd have to agree that you have to be straightforward and honest as a president. Where there are issues such as like North Korea, you have to downplay it a lot for the public, or else there will be a public outcry. But at the same time, if there is war going on, you can't just slide under the books like what Nixon did. You have to keep it out where the people know exactly what's going on in their country, because it is their country.
Alright. Is punishment more effective than rehabilitation in reducing crime or the person returning to crime?
Punishment is definitely a lot more effective. Because if someone just goes, "You're okay, buddy, you could do this,"